7:30. I'd like to call January 14th, 2025 meeting to order. First order of business. So let me just share this. It's the agenda. Jason Jaconitis is meeting with us also, or has joined the meeting. Approval of the minutes of December 2024. Can I have a motion to approve those minutes, please?
I'll make that motion.
May I have a second?
I'll second.
Dimitri seconds. Are there any comments to the minutes? All right, I didn't have any comments either. All in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Well,
Hello, Brad.
hey guys.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next thing on the agenda is budget update and expenses, and I will let Andrea speak if she'd like, or I can fill in if she needs to.
Yep, that would be great. Did you get my, I can just pull it up. Okay, so I'm going to do the easy part first. The current status of the budget. So we still have a bit of a carry forward. We have $6,856.50 remaining in our legal budgeted carry forward, which we haven't spent yet. Our current year budget, we have a remaining balance of $63,414.87. And the only expense that we have logged into this budget year was the clerk, $173. So that's the current status of the budget. I apologize for not getting back until Saturday morning, actually at 1 a.m. Took me 2 days to get back. I really wanted to get back. So anyway, I am going to need a little help here too, because I've seen several budgets. And you presented yesterday, and what did you get approved? The 91,000?
No, I didn't get anything approved.
Okay. What did you present?
I did present one for $91,086.
$86. Okay, so what I'm saying, and I've gone through the different line items. We have the clerk for the meetings, which we've increased because we think we're going to be having more meetings. We have the administrative assistant for the pump out. We have $600 for office supplies. Postage was doubled, anticipating that we're going to be doing a lot more mailings this year. Legal, I have 3 different numbers for legal. So are we at 30,000 or 45? And does the carryover, is that included in either one of those numbers?
So we're requesting 45.
Okay.
That was based on last month's discussion about.
Because you think you're going to need more just in case.
Some people do.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much of a carry forward we have. We have outstanding legal bills.
But they won't go under legal. The ones that you sent were for Clean Water Fund.
No, we have CSA and IMA legal bills.
All right.
That will go under legal. I'll talk to you about that.
That would be
later,
great.
But,
Okay, so I'll catch up on that.
Yeah.
All right, so there's a.
But what will happen is we're requesting 45,000. When we go before finance, they may say we're going to, and we have $10,000 left in our budget from this year. They may say we'll approve 35,000 with a carryover.
Carry over the 10.
They won't do that because they know you still have 6 months left to go. So they'll assume you're going to spend some between now and.
But I mean, they did something similar last year.
Last year, they really
for the
surprised
share.
us. Is there a date for that?
You'll have it soon. If they start in February.
Okay, so if we had that date, it would be helpful. Advertising, we have 3,500. which went, that number kept going all over the place, so it's now 3,500. I saw another budget with 10,500.
Well, it's just semantics. I thought that.
You
So
just
you'll
said
see,
that-
you'll see the printing is at 10,500.
Yeah, well, printing I have at 4, but
Yeah.
then here you have 10,500.
Right, so when I thought about it, the expense for anything that we're going to put out is in the printing, not the advertising. So
Okay.
It's just,
So it's the mailers and
It's-
then you're gonna
yes.
put a stamp on it. Okay. Do we have based on a number of mailers? or
Well,
how did you come up with
if
that?
I came up with at least 2 mailers for pump out and probably 1 or 2 communications about the project itself.
Okay, all right. And then miscellaneous 700, which is fine. And then the WP consultant.
I added that because I started thinking about the work we're going to be doing, trying to combine all the entities down there into one group. And I'm thinking that we might eventually need a consultant to tell us how to do it. I mean,
So were you thinking that's gonna happen this year?
that's a
or-
goal, of the 4 entities this year, is to end 2025 with a plan on how to administer the system under one entity. So we'll be doing a lot of work on that.
Okay,
And we hope to include Point of Woods too.
We can. I mean, I have no problem including Point of Woods. I mean,
seems like that was.
it would be nice to have one operating WPCA in the town instead of 5. But there is nothing that we can do to force the other WPCAs to join us.
Right.
So, it's a.
But I just
it's
heard
gonna
that
be
there was
lot
a
of
goal to consolidate, so there might be some motivation there.
There's a definite goal to consolidate. How it ends up, though, is a different story. I mean, I've been talking with members now for a while. They're serious now. I mean, they see the bids going out, they see them being bid, and I tell them there's not much time. It's 18 months, and that's it for some of us. So,
Are they all in town? Like Frank Noe, is he in town now or?
yeah, Frank's. Well, I met Frank on Thursday. He's not in town,
No, he's in.
but
front.
Scott is, and Paul. Is that his guy? Paul Lenski,
Is he from Old Lime Shores?
Lime Shores. I haven't even been able to get in touch with him. He doesn't return emails. Frank hasn't been able to. Scott hasn't. I asked Scott if it was me. He said no. He hasn't.
I think they're having, somebody down that lives down there said they were having a meeting, they think this weekend. So maybe we'll learn something more.
Hopefully.
Hmm.
But anyway, that's why that's there. In case we need someone to explain. When I was talking with Kurt from Fuss and O'Neill,
Mhm.
he was extremely knowledgeable in all the different areas on what you can do, what you can't do. And I was not even in that, just in general, like administrative things. And I thought about it and said, maybe when we come to something, we hire a consultant
Okay.
to say, is this the best avenue to go? What are we have to come up with something that
Okay.
3 other entities are going to sign. So
Oh, that sounds like a good plan. And John, do you have an update on the Clean Water Fund application? Were you working on that?
I don't think John's worked on that yet.
Oh, okay.
Rich got it to a point where we should, because under my report, you'll get a better idea where we are. But I'll give you that information.
And can we, I don't have any emails on that, so whoever has it.
I don't have anything on
You
it.
don't either. Okay.
I have one email that Rich just forwarded all the stuff.
Okay, so if we send that along, then we can get back on track with that. All right.
Oh, great.
Are there any questions about
I
that?
wanted to. That was the whole reason. It really wasn't for me to look at the agenda. It was to show everyone the budget. Let me show people the budget, so at least it's up
So you
there.
can see it. Is there a reason why this year we are projecting out to 2030?
So it's 5 year, there's always a 5 year plan. So if you have capital, anything, major capital projects. And the fire department always has a, 5 year plan for new machine, new truck or something.
Okay, because
So you
those are
don't
just,
have to.
those are just pretty much fake numbers. I mean, those are placeholders.
Right,
Okay, because I don't have any projections right now on a 5 year.
right.
I just want to be clear about that because,
Well, no, I provided that.
yeah, but I mean, it's,
Well, it's based on assumption, the 5 year, some of it's based on the assumption that we're not gonna always have carry $45,000 worth of legal fees.
no,
Some of these would probably go off book. So when the project, as I explained to the Board of Selectmen, when the project is finally done, there's administrative costs, there's office costs, but that's gonna be borne by users for the sewer system. But then there are town costs like comedy and stuff that should probably still be paid for on a town budget because everyone's getting the benefit.
well, our administrative costs will go up because now there's going to be a billing system for,
Well, the billing
That would be
system,
with
it won't be,
yours,
it won't be, that's not town related, that's project related because it's user related. So, there's gonna be a difference and that cost is part of the user fees that we charge our users. So,
There's gonna be stuff that we pass through.
well, we're gonna try to keep it so that we don't pass anything through one way or the other,
Oh, all right.
but there will be overlap, for sure. I mean, there's, how do you, I mean, office expense, I don't even charge office expense.
no, not yet, but
Paper and stuff that we.
the
use, I just
entity will
use.
change because now you're administering the sewer project.
Well, they'll have to be a WPCA board that oversees the person who's working, who's your
Right,
office person.
right, it may not even be. It's, so depending on how this is structured, none of those costs may flow through us. I don't know,
You won't.
so,
You'll go back to being in charge of septic systems.
right, and
This-
hopefully that
This
one
board.
entity is going to run that whole sewer system. So that we're not really involved in it. I mean, we have oversight, but it's
Too early
It's
to
too
talk.
early, it's too early.
And
That's the
everyone
problem.
sort of has a different idea of that.
So, all right,
All right, so were there any questions here? You're gonna project the budget.
I did project it. I just took it
Did
off.
anybody have anything that they wanted to discuss? Okay, thank you. Thanks, Steve.
You're welcome.
I
Thank
think
you.
this represents what we discussed in December.
Right.
Yes,
All right, I'll clean that up and get back to you later too.
all right. Next on the agenda is Chairman's report, CSA update. I've spoken with the town's attorney on working on that. We don't have it. The beach associations want us to have it. It's being worked on. I mean, that's all I can say. It's with our town attorney. So I don't know what else I can say there.
Is he making a draft so that you can send it to the other beach associations?
He says he's working on it. Yeah, he's gonna send it to us and then I would forward it or he can forward it directly, but obviously they'll need it to review it. He has not. He says,
Still
oh,
working
yeah.
with Mike.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I need to get to it. And then the sewer project status, Old Line is going out to bid on 170 or advertised to bid 117. Bids will be due on 2/14. I believe the shared infrastructure, the trunk line, the pump station by oxide feed, and the force main have already been advertised to bid. They're being bid on 2/14. Old Colony and Miami Beach, as far as I understand, are being bid or advertised to bid, I believe tomorrow, the 15th. and they're due on 2/14. So everything will be in 2/14. I believe we're opening our bids here in Town Hall. I don't know about the beach associations.
Bids are due at 10 o'clock
10 o'clock?
on the 14th. Can I ask Jason a question?
Sure.
Well, Jason, this is Martha Shoemaker, the first select woman. I know that Katie either sent you an email or called you, but the address on that bid sheet is wrong. You have
Yes.
Hamburg Road, but it's really 50 Lime Street. So you have it going to the Lime Town Hall. But if that's the case and they do send them up there, we'll just send somebody up at 10 o'clock to grab them.
Okay, yeah, no, I did get that message from Katie late today, and I sent her an updated version. So, yeah, we'll have that addressed in the bid documents that are available on Friday.
Okay, well, she posted it for tomorrow morning and DOS. She put it up already, but we
Yep.
said, I mean, we have such a close relationship with Lime. We get things all the time back and forth. So
Sure. Okay.
if we can, she can amend it if she needs to.
So need to. Don't want anything going to line.
Chances are it would still come here because it says Town of Old Lyme.
Can't have that mistake.
Always do a bid amendment, just have, after the fact.
After the fact.
That clarifies a delivery here.
She can
Yeah.
redo it.
Yeah, we'll probably.
She
do
just
both.
picked it up this afternoon when she was reading it again.
Probably do both.
Answers the
because,
questions or something.
I mean, normally, it's a public bid opening at 10. You come in and you open the bids. If someone dropped it off in line, then it
We usually, we don't always have it opening exactly when they're due. We usually have it an hour later, just so that everything is.
Yeah. Well, Jason's running it. In the ones I do,
Okay,
they're open usually 5 minutes after 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock.
But at Jason's office, right?
No, here
here,
at the town hall.
always
But
here.
the information that was published said at his office.
Jason, where are we opening the bids? Here at Town Hall or at your office?
Correct. Yeah, Town Hall.
That's not what it says on the notice.
Well, that notice was for the other beaches.
It says it's in Hartford at his office.
Well, the one that's published already?
No,
This isn't even
we
published.
haven't published ours yet.
Or the infrastructure pieces.
Okay, that's Fuss and O'Neill,
Okay.
not Woodward and Kerman. And they're opening, I guess, at Fuss and O'Neill's office
On the 14th.
on the 14th.
That's the shared.
That's the shared infrastructure, and probably Old Colony and Miami Beach, because it's the same engineer.
Same firm, right?
So
But
they're gonna
ours
be-
is being opened here.
They're gonna be opened in Hartford on the same day as what you're gonna open here?
Yeah.
Same day?
Yes.
It's hard to be in two places at the same time.
There'll probably be a video that you can
Pardon?
log into. There might be a video type of thing that you can log into to watch it from Hartford. It
Well,
has to be published, Mary. There's nothing fancy
They're-
about it. It
they're-
takes 10 minutes. They open the envelopes, they
they're
record the
open
bids,
bids.
and that's it. Nobody decides anything that day.
Right.
They just open the envelopes, write down the amount.
They're public bids.
Yes, I know.
Okay,
So
so they
the
open up the
information is
envelopes.
available a half an hour later.
They say who, what the bid numbers are. They take all the packages, they put everything back in the envelopes. They can take them to the office to make sure they're compliant with all the requirements of the contract. And then they evaluate the bidders to see if they can actually do the job. I mean, it's a long process. They have 60 days for review. I mean, it's not, but you'll know who the low bidder is. Parent, they
You'll
always
know the
say,
numbers.
apparent low bidder, after they're opened. So that's our project status. I've already touched on one of the goals for, this WPCA that I'm gonna set is to have a working, entity that will have defined responsibilities to, run and maintain the system after it's built with the 3 other beach associations and possibly Point of Woods. Another goal that I would like to do this year is to review our sewer ordinance and revise it, to update it for sewers, to, it may possibly need changes to include the beach associations. Um, uh, there's some work here if we're gonna get to a spot where everyone is comfortable and everyone, wants to work together. And first on the goals is to, decide on an equitable EDU system. And I think we're probably 85% there already. I don't think there's any problems there. So, that's my chairman's report. Are there any questions?
I need you to know that there is a failed system in town. And Ledgelight is working on it.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
So what, do the people stay in the home?
It's a weird situation, but their people will have to be moved. They're renters. They'll have to be moved out. There's a uniform relocation act that the landlords are supposed to abide by. They don't. We take over and pay for them up to $4,500. And then we just put a lien on the house for the $4,500. They're supposed to relocate them.
Is that down the beach?
It is.
It is. Okay. Is it part of Soundview or Area B?
It's you. That's why I mentioned it.
All right.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you for that.
So we should have picked that up on the pump outs then.
Well, you wouldn't necessarily know if a system is going to fail. There could be a number of reasons why it fails.
Sure, yeah.
But
It'd be interesting.
okay, so on old business, are there any other questions?
The only question I had is, do we have to vote on the budget to be accepted?
Well, you already presented
I
it.
know we presented it, but do we need a vote on that? Everyone, we asked for comments. Do we need to have a
Didn't you organize it in December?
I think we did in December.
December? Yeah, I wasn't at that meeting. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, I think we postponed that vote though.
Do we need a vote is what I'm
We do need a
asking.
vote. We postponed it
Okay.
until this.
Okay, so can I make a motion?
Sure.
Can we back up? Is that all right? So this will be under the treasurer report.
That can be under old business. I make a motion. Well, I'd like a motion to add a vote on the budget under old business.
I second that
Well, no, I
motion.
need it first.
First, I'll agree to that motion.
A second, please.
I'll second
Thank
All in
you.
favor?
Aye.
it.
Okay, so then I'm gonna make a motion to accept the 2025-2026 WPCA budget as presented and discussed with a total request of $91,086.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right.
Thank you.
Is there any discussion? Not hearing any. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Well,
Dennis?
That was.
That
Oh,
was Brad.
that was Brad.
Yeah.
And he's not opposed.
Couldn't
He's
hear
for.
that. He was under my breath.
Oh.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
It was an I, it was a not a
Yeah.
nay.
I'm sorry. Dennis Maluzzo.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I have to recognize, you walked in late when Andrew was giving. All right, so, Dennis is here. He's, came in at probably 7:40. Sorry, I didn't do that.
Okay,
Um,
thank you for taking the time to do that.
Under old business, I'd like to discuss the there's three EDU calculations that were presented. And I'd like to vote on one option to develop more fully. I think the way to go about this is we got three of them. One from Dimitri, one from Mary and Dennis, one from me. I think that we have to, pick one and see if we can work on it so that it is, it has our approval. And if we can't, we'll go to another one and see if that will work. Like I said, the last meeting, I think they're all very similar in concept. I think all of them could use some tweaking. Looking through all of them, I personally think that, we should start with one, but I will hold my opinion, and let other people discuss which one they think we should work on first.
Can I make a suggestion that maybe the task force present the three, summarize the three different EDUs, since that was, no?
Well, we've already,
I mean,
they've already presented.
yeah, so,
The summary is, the summary, they're very close. So the summary is going to be a representation of the different ones. Gary and Dennis, broke it out by EDUs with 3 and 4. Well, go ahead. I guess you can summarize it, but I don't know if that's gonna.
I can summarize for you what we presented. And this is a cleaner copy if anybody wants another paper copy. I don't think you were here last
no, I
time.
wasn't.
And were you here?
I was not.
You were not. Anybody else who wasn't here needs a copy?
I'll take a new copy.
Good.
So I
There
have
you
the
go.
most updated.
And
This hasn't changed though.
the only thing that really changed is
I've got the email from.
you got it in email, okay, because
Yeah.
I cleaned it up so it'd print a little bit better. The only thing that really changed, the concept didn't change. Most of the single families will have 1 EDU. The commercial properties will have 1.5 EDUs, the majority. The mixed properties where you have commercial and residential mix, just by the nature of it being that would be 2 EDUs. And there's a few like Poconos and Pavilions, a few others, based on size and usage that would have 3 EDUs, but not many, only a handful.
Mhm.
So no property would have more than 3 EDUs total. And if you look down here, you can see actually on the first page, just briefly, you'll see that we went with, if you take 270 EDUs and divide it by the $6,090,000 figure, it comes out to 22,556 per EDU. With the interest, it comes to 27,385. And then, some, like I said, what we did was if you were a single family home and you had 3 to 4 bedrooms and one kitchen, that would be considered 1 EDU. If you had 2 kitchens and 4 bedrooms, then that would be considered 1.25 EDUs. So for each added beyond the 4 bedrooms, one kitchen, it was an extra 0.25 EDUs. And it kind of works out pretty well, I think. But we have some information that we still needed to gather that we're waiting on.
I have.
Regarding, there's a few houses we're not sure, just because they're on Swan or Hartford Avenue, do they belong to Soundview or Old Colony or Miami Beach? So we're waiting for that information to come back to us. The others, there was a couple other, other questions we had.
Mhm.
We're really not counting the structures, meaning if you have 2 small buildings on one lot, we're not dividing those 2 structures saying, oh, we're going to charge you 1 EDU for each building. We're taking the combination of that residential property and saying between those 2 buildings, you have, 3 bedrooms and 2 kitchens. So that's 1.25 EDUs. We feel that was fair. And there was a couple other questions. Hold on.
What about an empty lot?
Oh, the empty lots. Well, before we get to that, hold on. There are a couple of questions regarding, there's one house on 262 Shore Road, which has a working garage, which is listed as commercial, We don't know if there's actually water in there. If not, then it's just residential property. So that would have to change. So we have some details like that that we still need to hammer out. Not too many, however. I will tell you, the smallest building is 327 square feet, and the largest there's a few over 4,000 square feet. So, and the vacant lots was still an issue in regard to usage. I'm sorry, some of the commercial properties were an issue in regard to how they're actually being used today. For instance, it's a given that Pavilion and Kokomo's use more water than the typical property. And so they will be 3 EDUs. There's a few other questions. I don't think, I think that commercial properties should have a base of 1.5 myself, because commercial properties are usually rated higher than residential. They're more flexible. It should be easier to sell or, repurpose. The other thing was,
And doesn't one of the commercial properties have a unit above it?
there's several of those.
Yeah,
Actually,
yeah.
there's only 13 true commercial properties.
Hmm.
And I think there's 13, and there's 16 mixed use properties. And mixed use properties, I guess, are becoming more and more popular. So it's a good use of space. We do think that also there'll be some developments, and we'd like to leave, there's like 5 uncounted EDUs. I'm up to like 265. Leave those 5 for the new developments, which we've heard are going in on Hartford Avenue, particularly Randazzo. And we don't know what he's going to do with his property, but Randazzo has already shown us some building plans, and that would probably be EDUs at that point, because he is going to build commercial on the bottom and upscale residential on the top. And then there's the question of frontage and vacant lots, and which vacant lots would be charged with frontage. Some are obvious and some are not. On the last page of what I gave you, there's a list of what's the town considers vacant lots. 34 Hartford Avenue, for instance, that's not a buildable lot. They call it a lot, but it really belongs to the condo association. There is no room to build there. So, and then some other things like the community center parking lot, and the town parking lot is in there. There was, Val's, the carousel has no water in it. We don't know if the game room has water in it. So there's a few outstanding questions that have to be addressed. There's a few that are buildable. Habitat for Humanity has a buildable lot. Even though they're 501c, there's no exemption in the state, in the, what do you call it, state. I'm sorry, I'm losing but there's no exception made just because you're a 501c. It doesn't exempt you from being assessed for sewers. I will say that we did include in our calculations the lot that is owned by the private beach associations where the pump house will go, because it's on Portland Avenue, which is part of Soundview. So there, as we said, there'll be no exceptions. So that lot and property will also be assessed.
And what did the church end up with?
You can't
Yes.
assess that.
You can't assess
You can't
that.
assess that. It's gonna have a pump
It's
station
gonna
on
have
it.
a pump station.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
You can't
understand
assess
it.
it.
I can't assess it. Why?
Well, we shouldn't assess it, I should say,
It's not gonna use.
because we can't use it for anything except a pump station.
That's it.
yeah, got it.
There's no
Well,
development.
then we'll
But that's
take it
why,
off.
but that's why we're going to discuss these.
Right,
So
that's fine.
I guess that's your summary.
We can take that one property off. That'll be the one exception. Everyone else says there's no.
Yeah. All right,
And the
mine,
church was one.
my formula, which I don't have in front of us,
Yeah.
was basically based on, bedrooms, bathrooms, kitchens, and, an allowance for square footage. It tried to take in this property size, far more, difficult to understand than Mary and Dennis's. The only thing I can say about Mary and Dennis's, which I think is a very good formula, is the same comments that Frank was trying to alleviate, is that is that, you know, you got a 300 square foot house that's going to have one EDU, the same as a, you know, potentially 1,500 square foot house. And people are upset about that. But listen, I mean, all of these, and that's why we have to pick one and try to tweak it maybe a little, or not. I mean, and go from there. So I'm happy to work off of Mary and Dennis's. I don't know if anyone else, and Rob has made comments about that, which we would go off on which we could go into if we decide to work on this. And Dimitri, do you want to explain yours?
Yes. I just wanna tell you about what we have expenses with the sewer. There are two different expenses. One expense is gonna be one time, it's construction. Construction of the sewer will be 20 years on 2% interest. So what we are doing is, I don't agree with those two calculations because I think my calculation was more reasonable, more closer to the usage. It's a second expense, which is going to last for lifetime of the property. So imagine you have a house, small house, it has the same number of bedrooms, the same number of people live there, and you're giving them one pipe for connection in construction, and then usage would be about the same sewerage coming from this house as a small or large house. It has a shower, it has a kitchen, it has a 2-3 bedrooms, small house. So I think we should consider that. Now, what are we gonna do when comes usage? You're gonna do by EDUs?
No.
No water flow.
No.
So this is where the thing is. If you're not gonna do by EDUs, why do we give EDU on commercial property that say has a store, bathroom is only for employees, 2-3 people in the store. Public bathroom is a different story. So when I did my calculation, I was considering that. And usage, we should work on it later on. Would be, of course, it would be nice to have for water usage, because most likely water becomes sewer after all, coming to the house. If we have people have houses that they spread water on a lawn, well, too bad. You want to do this, you're doing this, so you're going to consider this as a sewage usage. So my point is, we should consider not square footage of the property. We should consider not commercial property, and I do not know why it's so bad. Commercial property should be carrying more for construction than a residential property when it the same kind of pipe goes to this property. So this is my point. I would ask you to consider my design.
I'd like to just make a comment on that. And I believe the difference is that we are assigning assessment based, and they call it assessment, but it's also based on how much we can only charge as much as the value of land goes up for sewers. And I believe the concept is that a commercial property has, once a sewer goes by, has much more leniency, that the property value goes up more than a residential value because there's so much more you can do with the land. And I think that's the thinking behind maybe assigning commercial property more than a residential.
Yeah.
You have to keep in mind what we're assessing. It's basically the increase in the value of the land. That's part of that assessment. That's so.
Okay, it's possible to go by value of the land. It's possible to go of the waterfront, of the frontage of the property.
There's a
There
whole
are
bunch of
many,
ways.
many ways to do it.
Correct.
Only what I'm saying is construction cost.
Correct.
It's a bring the pipe to the property. This is the construction cost.
Dimitri, how many EDUs did your model represent?
Who represents?
What was the number of EDUs?
How many EDUs did you eventually total up to?
I was going to 70 also.
270?
Yeah.
Did, and then.
And then we are not gonna get exactly how much we are gonna have. My calculation was conservative because I was considering that those properties that did under question mark, they're gonna bring more money for construction. They are. So I consider those properties that in use today. Tomorrow we do not know if they gonna build houses more, then they're gonna be charged more. Only one thing, I thought we should give back to people who are paying mortgage for the construction. But I heard the thing that is not gonna happen like this. I don't know why.
Steve, how many EDUs did
But
you
you-
have?
You can't police that.
268.
And then what
Two
is?
sixty-five.
Remember, this is only the baseline.
Right, it's
This
the
is your
baseline.
base.
It's not-
We're gonna tweak any of
We
these.
we could come up, I mean, it, in the realm of things, if it's 265, it's the total construction cost divided by 265 is your EDU times whatever EDU you have. If it's 270, it's the total construction cost divided by 270. So let's not get totally stuck on getting to 270. If one plan comes out and it's 265, and it seems equitable on how we figured it out, then that's, as long as it's equitable.
Yeah.
The formula holds itself. So, can I have a motion?
Well, my point was, they're all very close, so the differences are
Minimal.
in the commercial property.
Yeah, I think that's where the
The,
different,
the differences are gonna be commercial, I think empty land,
Empty lot
and
and
maybe some like the church, for instance. I don't know if we want to, and I could get, so part of my conversation with Kurt was that you can have delayed assessment. Or delayed, you can change, if someone buys a commercial property and puts a different use up, there are ways to assess them for the new use of the old use.
Are you gonna allow them to appeal?
Oh, I have to.
yeah,
we
you have
allow
to,
them
you
appeal.
have to allow that.
Well, we had figured the church at 1.5 EDUs and also the community center at 1.5 EDUs.
Right,
So,
in our pump station at 1.
right.
So, I mean, obviously there has to be, but I don't think you put anything in there for land,
We
any
haven't
person,
decided that yet.
right? I mean,
So you could
That's the way
be
to
the
work. It's
same.
not,
right.
Gary, it's not
So-
supposed to be done.
so
It's just the baseline.
So that's why I'd like to at this meeting, pick one that we want to discuss and develop further. And then I want a working meeting after this. It's already gone longer than I thought, but, so if I can have a motion for an option that we want to use, that would be, helpful, so that someone could second it and we could vote.
and with the basis,
Go ahead.
just a quick question, with the basis being that we're gonna modify, it's just the basic.
We're gonna-
methodology. It's the
we're
best
gonna
base
discuss-
methodology that,
It's the
we're
base
voting
on
on.
which we're going to
but we're gonna modify how it's
modify
actually done.
to come up
Okay.
with Yes.
Okay, and going back to last month's meeting, we had discussed vacant land as a frontage. When vacant land changes, then they get
An assessment.
updated to the new formula and pay accordingly.
So I would like to be able to have a working group where we can discuss this outside of a meeting. And what I would need is to discuss something. So I need a motion on what plan we would like to discuss, which one we think is the best one to work off of.
I make a motion that we use Mary and Dennis's most complete version, most up to date.
Is there a second?
I'll second that, but I'll call it the task force summary.
It's fine.
Is there any discussion on that one?
Steve, the only real question, the only real difference, Dimitri's really centers around commercial property, BDU assignment.
Yep.
And your difference really looks a bit deeper at usage. Is that right?
Square foot.
Square foot, yeah,
Okay.
square footage.
I mean, if you take a look at what Old Colony did ultimately after 3 years of struggling, they picked number of structures.
Yep.
And,
Yeah.
which is simpler, but in my mind, this is when you look at number of bedrooms and baths and kitchens, to me, that's a more reasonable assessment of how much water usage there's going to be. So I think that's a reasonable approach. I don't like the Old Colony approach because I don't live there, but I would not favor that, you know. So I think this is a reasonable place to start, and we tweak it from there.
So may I just say that we didn't look at bathrooms because we went back to the EIE and we looked at bedrooms, which is how
Right.
the EIE defined EDUs was based on the number of bedrooms.
Right.
Because of the
So
people that
going back
were in
to
the house.
Dennis's and Mary's, if we go that route, we could still
You could still
incorporate
amend it.
some of Dimitri's concepts about
Yeah,
single.
it's just
Yeah.
a starting
Yeah.
point
Yes.
to work
Yeah,
off.
it's a
Yes.
baseline.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's a
Yes.
bit you can tweak.
Yes. Nothing's being shut down completely.
And they still have some holes.
Well, we have about
That's the
seven.
plans are when you integrate pieces of all of them.
So is there any other specific discussion on using Mary and Dennis's outline as a base to begin our working group?
The only thing I wanted to mention is that if you have an empty lot and they have an EDU assignment at the beginning of the project, they put in the T that they just connect to, and that reduces costs. So when we do get to that discussion, we can maybe think about that assessment for them.
I think we could learn from other towns, how they handled frontage, how they defined it and what they did.
MDC mandates Ts on buildable lots in the development, and that's what the contractor is supposed to put in first. Because they know where the lots are. defined.
All of this would be great discussion in a working group if I could get, if anyone, what I'm concentrating on is we need to vote on which baseline we are going to talk about. And it would be great, there's a motion that Mary and Dennis is up. And I just want, is there any discussion on that specific thing, on whether we should consider someone else's, or are we all in agreement of Mary and Dennis's? If we're all in agreement that that's where we want to start, we should have, no one should say anything else when I say, is there any more discussion about it? And then we can put it towards a vote. Is there any more discussion on Dennis and Mary's, starting there as a baseline? Not hearing any.
Yeah, the only discussion I had is.
Not hearing any.
Summary.
Not hearing any. Let's vote. Could we have a vote? All in favor to start with Mary and Dennis as a baseline on a working group, raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, the motion carries unanimously.
Dimitri opposed.
Oh, you,
Again,
you're against. Okay, I'm sorry. I thought you.
it doesn't count much, but.
That's fine. All right, I don't have, any correspondence that pertains directly to what we're doing here as a group. I've gotten some bills and some reminders, but that's about it. Is there any public comment?
Any public people. Anybody on the phone?
Not hearing any public comment. May I have a motion to adjourn?
Me, I'll make a motion to
Second.
adjourn.
Second, meeting's adjourned.